Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to talk to you about a couple of seamanship tools, Marlinspike seamanship tools. And I find that there's some confusion on this about understanding of names and nomenclature, how they work and what they're for. So I thought I'd make a video today to clear some of that up. So we're going to talk about primarily about Fids and Marlinspikes, and then their variants. This right here, we'll start out with a Fid, normally made of wood or bone. And these are used for opening up braided ropes when you are splicing them to create a channel that you can pass a strand through. And they're used in such a similar fashion as I would take and find and create an opening. So one of the problems with a Fid is that if you take your hand out and it's a really hard laid or difficult, as soon as you take it out, it would close back up. But again, it's used to make an opening so that I could pass my strands. You might have to pinch it, hold it open to pass your strand through. Fids are not a lever. They're not used to take an advantage on or to, really reef on or crank on. They're just used to make an opening. So, Marlinspike. Marlinspikes are usually made of metal, steel. They come in various sizes, and they're used a lot for wire. This type of Marlinspike was used for wire rope. Also used for things like a Marlinspike hitch, if you know that, or making a very tight seizing or a wrap. You can put a lot of pressure on these. You can bang on the end. And a couple of things that I've read or heard over the years about how a Marlinspike got its name was from two things. One was for using it to make very tight whippings or lashings, seizing, and what they would use back in the day was a two-stranded left laid type of line called marline or marlin. And you can see right here I have an example of some tarred marlin, two strands, left lay. And they would use this to make very tight pulls when they were doing their seizings or their lashings and things like that. They would make this like a Marlinspike hitch and tie very tight. Use it to put a lot of pressure on. Again, this is called marline or marlin. It also represented, I've read that sailors, when they first saw the fish, the marlin out there, that the spike that they used to do their rigging and stuff like that very much resembled the nose of a marlin fish. And so that's another way that it's got its name or became to know that. But again, made of all steel, can be hammered on, used for wire, and can be really used to like create leverage or pressure or opening and twisting. Whereas a Fid, you don't want to do that with. So these are the two basic examples of tools that we might use, a Fid and a Marlinspike. But now we come into the confusing modern days of the 20th and 21st century, and we start getting different kinds of tools. So here we have an example of what's called a Swedish Fid. The only wood on this is on the handle part, and sometimes it's made of plastic or other things, but this is called a Fid. Again, it goes against that whole wood or bone thing when we're talking about Fids, but this is a different type of tool here that accomplishes the same thing as an old school Fid. And this is used to, again, make an opening. But here now I have like a cavity or a channel so that I don't have to hold it that open. I can simply pass the strand through while I'm splicing and then pull it out. So here's an example of a non-traditional Fid. Also, it's got metal on it. And we talk about these, so this one is made by Samson, but there's different companies that make these. This is Yale, and this is another type of Fid. Again, this is for splicing. It's for double braid nylon, large braided ropes. or line to you would put the end of it in here and then pass it through or pass it through the core. But again, this is called a fid, not a marlinspike, even though it's made of all metal. So this is another example of a fid. A marlinspike, my little Myerchin marlinspike that I carry all the time. I love this thing. It's great for jam knots, small things. I can even use it. It's got a shackle key on it, but I can use this as a large lacy needle. And in fact, one time I needed to make some fenders out of some very big line. I used this as a lacy needle to do some sewing. So, but I wouldn't use this for wire, even though it's a marlinspike. I wouldn't necessarily pound on it very hard, although I might use like a rawhide mallet or a rubber mallet, but this is for everyday work, unjamming knots, things like that. Very useful tool. You also might find, such as on this Myerchin knife that I have, it also comes with a small marlinspike on the end of the knife. Very useful for very small projects, opening things up really quickly. So again, here's a marlinspike that I would not use on wire, but I would normally use it on like a softer type of line. I also was recently, a couple of days ago, gifted this. This very much has the same similarity as a wood fid. This one is actually the spike or the stout of a marlin fish. So this literally is a marlinspike. Again, I would not use this on wire like a traditional marlinspike is used. This I would only use on some kind of soft line, a 3-strand, cotton or manila or hemp or something like that. So, but this literally is a marlinspike. So, and there's a myriad of tools out there that can become made as like a cross of wood and metal that might be called a fid or a marlinspike. So you really have a lot of, you have also another tool, which I don't have one right now, which is called a pricker, which is also kind of the same. It's a combination of both. Prickers are used for pulling out cores or of a cover and a core of a line. So you have a lot of tools. If we talk about just the basics and we get back just to the fundamentals, again, a fid and a marlinspike. One is made of wood or bone, and one is made of metal. One is used for creating openings. The other one's used for making, let me see what's the right word, for creating leverage, or if I'm like locking down a wire splice, or if I need to pull on something hard, or I need to really jam something where I need to put a lot of pressure on it. A great use for a marlinspike. So I hope that clears up some of those questions, and I appreciate your time. You guys have a good day.